A teacher stood in front of her classroom, holding a cassette tape. Dangerous by Michael Jackson. One of her students had brought it for show and tell. She looked at the 12-year-old boy and said loud enough for everyone to hear, "This is garbage. This man is a bad influence. We don't celebrate people like him in my classroom." She threw the tape in the trash. She didn't know it yet, but those words would cost her everything. Because when her own daughter was dying in a hospital, and she had no way to save her, Michael Jackson walked through that door. The Condemnation, November 4th, 1992. Jefferson Middle School, Indianapolis, Indiana, 10:23 a.m. Margaret Sullivan stood at the front of her 7th grade classroom. 51 years old, 28 years of teaching, strict, traditional. Margaret believed certainty was morality. It was Friday, show and tell day. 12-year-old Tommy Martinez raised his hand. "Mrs. Sullivan, I brought something. Come up, Thomas." Tommy walked to the front, holding a cassette tape. His face was bright with excitement. "This is the Dangerous album by Michael Jackson. My mom got it for my birthday. The songs talk about making the world better, about helping people." Margaret cut him off. "Stop right there, Thomas." The classroom went quiet. Margaret took the cassette from Tommy's hands and held it up. "Class, listen carefully. This is exactly the kind of influence you should avoid." Tommy's smile disappeared. "But Mrs. Sullivan, I've seen this man on television. The way he dresses, the way he moves, this is not appropriate." She walked to the trash can. "Mrs. Sullivan, please, that's mine." Margaret dropped the cassette into the trash. It landed with a hollow thud. "You can tell your mother I threw it away." Tommy's eyes filled with tears. He stood there, frozen, humiliated. "Sit down, Thomas." Tommy walked back to his seat, head down, trying not to cry. The other students sat in uncomfortable silence, but Margaret felt righteous. She was protecting these children. After school, Tommy's mother, Maria Martinez, came to Margaret's classroom. "Mrs. Sullivan," Tommy came home crying. "You threw away his birthday present." Margaret sat behind her desk unmoved. "That cassette was inappropriate." "Inappropriate? It's Michael Jackson. The songs are about peace, love. The man himself is questionable. I will not have my students idolizing someone like that." Maria's voice shook. "You had no right to throw away his property." "I have every right to maintain standards in my classroom." Maria spoke to the principal. Robert Chen sided with Margaret. "She has discretion over her classroom." Maria left frustrated. Tommy was devastated. Margaret felt vindicated. But Maria wrote a letter to Michael Jackson's fan club address. She didn't expect a response. She just needed to tell someone what had happened. The letter sat in a pile of thousands, but this one got read. Michael's assistant, Linda Chen, showed it to Michael. Michael read it slowly, then again. This boy, Tommy, he was just sharing something he loved, and she destroyed it in front of everyone. "People say things," Linda said. "It's not about me. It's about him. He's 12 years old. He'll remember this forever." Michael wrote a response. In his own handwriting, he included a signed copy of the Dangerous album and a personal note. The package arrived 3 weeks later. Inside was a letter. "Dear Tommy, I heard what happened. I'm so sorry. You were brave to share something you loved. Don't let anyone make you feel ashamed for loving music. Music is about joy and hope. If my music makes you happy, that's all that matters. I'm sending you a new album. This one is signed. It's yours. Don't let anyone take it. Keep believing. Keep loving music. Keep being brave." Your friend, Michael Jackson Tommy, cried when he read it. Maria cried. They framed the letter. Tommy brought the letter to school. Word spread. Eventually, it reached Margaret. She heard about it in the teacher's lounge. Margaret felt a cold knot in her stomach, but she pushed it down. She'd done the right thing. 7 years passed. Margaret retired in 1998, moved to the suburbs, lived quietly. She never thought about Tommy Martinez, never thought about that cassette tape, until November 3rd, 1999. Time shift. 7 years pass. Margaret retires. Then tragedy strikes. The reckoning. November 3rd, 1999. St. Vincent Hospital, Indianapolis. 4:17 p.m. Margaret Sullivan sat in a waiting room. 58 years old. Her 15-year-old daughter Emma had collapsed at school. Brain tumor. Aggressive. Cost $320,000. Margaret's pension was modest. Savings were small. Insurance capped at $200,000, already used when her husband died. She had no way to pay. Dr. Sarah Martinez had been clear. Without surgery, 4 months. With surgery, 68% survival. But we need to act fast. I don't have the money. Margaret sat there, helpless. Emma was her only child, and she was going to die. For the first time in 7 years, Margaret thought about Tommy Martinez, about that cassette tape, about the look on that boy's face. She'd felt so righteous. Now she felt nothing but regret. November 4th, 8:12 p.m. Dr. Martinez walked toward Margaret with someone, a man in a black hoodie and sunglasses. They stopped. Mrs. Sullivan, this gentleman heard about Emma. The man removed his sunglasses. Margaret's heart stopped. Michael Jackson. You. Margaret couldn't form words. I'm Michael. I heard about your daughter. Margaret's mind spun. How? Why? Michael sat down. I want to help. I don't understand. How do you know about us? Michael smiled sadly. Do you remember a boy named Tommy Martinez? Margaret's face went pale. 7 years ago, you threw away his cassette tape. Margaret's hands shook. Oh God, you remember. I remember everything. Tommy's mother wrote to me. I sent Tommy a letter and a new album. Margaret felt tears burning. I'm so sorry. I was wrong. I humiliated that boy. Michael held up his hand gently. I didn't come here to make you apologize. Then why? Michael looked at her directly. Because Emma is 15, and she deserves a chance to live. He turned to Dr. Martinez. Everything Emma needs, the surgery, the recovery, I'll cover all of it. Margaret couldn't breathe. What? I don't deserve... This isn't about you. It's about Emma. Every child deserves someone to fight for them. Margaret broke completely. 7 years of certainty shattered. I destroyed that boy's happiness because I thought I knew better. And now you're here, after everything I said. You're here to save my daughter. Michael's eyes were sad but kind. Hurting people hurt people. You hurt Tommy because you were afraid. But Emma shouldn't pay for your fear. He stood up. Save your daughter, and think about what kind of world you want her to grow up in. One where we judge people for being different, or one where we celebrate them. And Michael Jackson walked down that corridor. Margaret sat there, destroyed by grace she didn't deserve. Dr. Martinez put a hand on her shoulder. That man just saved your daughter's life. Time shift. Surgery successful. Margaret changes, then Michael dies. The redemption. Emma's surgery was successful. 14 hours. The tumor was removed. Recovery took 3 months. Michael covered every dollar. Margaret never saw him again. but she never forgot. Emma recovered fully, went back to school in March 2000, graduated high school, went to college. Margaret changed. She volunteered at music programs for underprivileged kids. She wrote letters to Tommy Martinez, apologizing, explaining, asking for forgiveness. Tommy, now 19, wrote back, "I forgave you a long time ago. Michael taught me that." Margaret kept that letter, read it often. June 25, 2009. Michael Jackson just died. Margaret sat at her computer and wrote, not for a newspaper, for herself, for Michael. "The man who saved my daughter after I judged him." She detailed everything, the cassette tape, Tommy's humiliation, her certainty, her wrongness. She wrote about the hospital, about Michael appearing, about Grace that made no sense. Her conclusion: "I spent 28 years teaching children." But on November 4th, 1999, Michael Jackson taught me what I should have known all along. Love is always bigger than judgment. Grace is always stronger than self-righteousness. And children deserve joy, not fear. I destroyed a 12-year-old's happiness because I thought I was protecting him. 7 years later, the man I judged saved my daughter's life. That's who Michael Jackson was. I'm sorry, Michael. And thank you. The article went viral. Today, Margaret Sullivan is 83 years old. Emma is 40, healthy, married, a music teacher. She teaches her students about Michael Jackson, about his music, about his message. On Margaret's wall hangs a photograph, Michael Jackson performing. Below it, "He taught me that judgment destroys, but love creates." November 4th, 1999. Thank you, Michael. I'm sorry it took me so long to understand. Because on a November night in 1999, a judgmental teacher learned that some people are bigger than the hurt we cause them. And a superstar proved that grace isn't about deserving it. It's about choosing it. This story is inspired by Michael Jackson's compassion. All characters except Michael are fictional, but the message is eternal. If this moved you, share it with someone who needs to remember not to judge what they don't understand. Because sometimes the most dangerous thing in the world is believing your judgment is love.